So, good afternoon. Second year Bcom, Computer Applications, Semester 4, DHTML. Second year Bcom, Computer Applications, Semester 4, Web Technologies, Unit 2. Yesterday also we already started with Unit 2. Today we started with, we begin another PPT. We explain the same DHTML with another PPT. So we start with DHTML PPTs, another PPT. So Unit 2, Web Technologies, Unit 2, DHTML. So this is the working of a DHTML. DHTML means dynamic HTML pages. DHTML means dynamic HTML pages. So generally this is the small diagram of explaining how to use DHTML or how to use this one. So in this diagram there are three components: XHTML, CSS and scripting languages. So yesterday we discussed about the components or parts of DHTML. So there are 5 components, 5 parts or 5 components are in DHTML are used. First one is called as CSS or style sheets. So what is the DHTML? DHTML is nothing but a combination of 5 or more, combination of more technologies, used all the technologies at a time is called as a DHTML. So in DHTML generally we may use the first one is CSS or style sheets or cascading style sheets. Second one is scripting language like JavaScript. Third language is like some positioning of the text or script, positioning of the images. Fourth one is DOM. DOM means document object model. Fifth one is events. Events and event handlers. So combination of all the, with sixth one is HTML. So combination of all these 6 components, using all these 6 components is called as a dynamic HTML or DHTML. Generally DHTML is a scripting, it is also some type of programming language. Supports all the 5 technologies, uses or supports all the 5 technologies. What are the technologies? Style sheets or CSS or cascading style sheets. Second one is JavaScript. Third one is HTML. Fourth one is some DOM or document object model. Fifth one is events and event handlers. Sixth one is some so there are 6 components are there. So combination of all this, using all these 6 components is called as a dynamic HTML. So this is this chart explains, this diagram explains how to use a DHTML script. So today we discuss with another PPT. Today we discuss about discuss all these things with some another PPT. What is DHTML? What are the features? And what are their features and how to use DHTML, what are the components of DHTML, all these things we are going to explain here with some another PPT. So what is DHTML? A combination of technologies used to create animated documents, not a W3 standard. So using scripts we manipulate HTML content and style properties in reaction to events. So as we already know that DHTML is a combination of all the 5 to 6 technologies. First one is HTML, second one is style sheets or styles or style sheets or cascading style sheets. Third one is some scripts, by using some scripts like JavaScript. Fourth one is called events and event handling. Fifth one is called as some DOM, another concept is called as DOM or document object model. Sixth one is called as placing some text. So all these 6 properties, using all these 6 technologies or properties are called as a DHTML. So HTML DOM. What is DOM? One of the component is called as DOM, document object model. One of the component is called as a DOM, document object model. So another important feature of DOM or DHTML is by using DHTML concept or by using DHTML technologies, we may access each and every, we may access and program it, each and every component of a web page. Means like some headings, colors, animations, pictures, graphics, all these things we may access, access and program each and every component of a each and every component of a web page or a website, so that it is very easy to programmer to control each and every component or each and every part of a web page. Means we can easily access each and every part of a web page and control it through a program. So DOM and JavaScript, all these are the components, various components. So DOM and combined with JavaScript, every element in HTML document is represented by an object. So by using DOM means document object model. So what is document object model? We can access each and every component. We can access each and every component of a HTML page or web page, and by using JavaScript and programming, we may control it easily. By using some combinations, or by using some programming languages, we can control it easily. So combined with JavaScript, every element in the HTML document is represented by an object. So each and every component or part of a document or a web page is called as an object. So every object, so there are many objects in a web page, like some headings, body of the HTML page, some images of the document or HTML page, some headings or some colors, foreground and background colors, everything is an object, and every object have some properties, unique properties and separate properties for them. And by using JavaScript code or by using JavaScript program, we may easily control them by writing some programs and by code of the program. Elements can be manipulated using the properties and methods of the corresponding object. So as we know that every object, what is object? Object is nothing but any component, any component of a or any part of the HTML page is an object, and every object can be either every object can be object can have many properties. Every object can have many properties, methods and functions and functionalities and like that. So every object have some properties, methods and events and some like that. So elements can be manipulated using the properties and methods of the corresponding objects. Changes in the element properties are immediately reflected by the browser. Changes in the elements element properties are immediately reflected by the browsers. So changes in the element properties are immediately reflected by the browsers means whenever you change the properties of a particular object, like some colors or some fonts, the effects will be immediately reflected by the browser immediately on the screen. Next is accessing HTML elements. So how to access HTML elements? Why? Because DOM is the concept, document object model. Document object model is one of the basic components of the DHTML. By using DHTML, we may access each and every element of the document or web page by using some treated as an object, and every object have its own properties, methods, events and collections, and all HTML elements objects are accessed through the document object. So whenever we use HTML elements or objects, these objects are generally accessed through the document, and these objects have their own properties, methods, like that. Document itself is automatically created. Several ways to access a specific element. Several ways to access a specific element. Paths in the DOM tree, like that. So this is the diagram of using HTML DOM tree. HTML DOM tree. So how to use? So first of all, we starting in this diagram, we start with the document. What is the document? HTML document or HTML page. So generally, a HTML document or HTML page have various components or objects or parts, like anchors. Anchors means links, HTML links, and links and images, forms, bodies, cookies, applets, like so. As we know that every document, HTML page, document is nothing but a page. HTML page have many parts or components, like anchors means some links, and web links, and images, tables, forms, body of the HTML page or body of the tag, body of the document, cookies, applets, like that. So all these are called as HTML elements. All these components are called as HTML elements, individual elements, and each element have separate properties or separate HTML tags. Again each element has their own properties or their own HTML tags, like buttons, text area, input, select, like that. And again these HTML tags have some options or some properties in it. So this is the structure of the HTML document, treated as a HTML DOM or document object. So in this model, we take and divide each and every component. Of a HTML part or HTML element into separate, treated as a separate, and treated as an element, and these elements have some properties, methods, actions, like that. Again they have some options or properties in it. So by accessing all these things, we may simply write some complex programs by using JavaScript language and HTML. So how to access elements by paths. So similarly, how to access elements by paths means, for example, image. If you take an HTML page and it contains some image, so how to access that image? So by using document object, so here is the example of using. So function, here we write some function called execute. So in that we are taking some this is a JavaScript program. JavaScript we may explain in the third unit, and this is the simple JavaScript object. So where image is equals to document means your HTML document dot images of 0 means, suppose if your document or if your HTML page have some 10 images, so images of 0 means first image dot, so where img is equals to document dot images of 0. Similarly, img dot src is equals to some file name. Means file name is like a GAF file, JPG file, JPEG files, like that. So this is this is header part and this is body part. So in this way, by writing in this way, we may simply access each and every component or element of a HTML page. So accessing elements by tags. So how to access elements, accessing elements by tags means, so how to access elements by HTML commands or HTML tags. So this is another slide. This is another method. So element properties. So how to use, how to get, or how to set or how to get element properties. So elements of different types, have different sets of properties and methods. So most elements have the style number, and style is an object that represents the style sheet rules. So DOM, this concept is called as DOM, or a document object model. We will elaborately explain about in the next PPTs also. So another important feature of DHTML is events. Another important feature or another important application of DHTML programming is events and event handlers. So what are events and what are event handlers? How to use events in a JavaScript program or HTML program, and like that. So as we discussed in the last class or in the previous class, what is an event? Event is nothing but an action. An event is nothing but it is an action raised or taken whenever a particular key on the keyboard or whenever a particular key on the mouse is pressed. So events are simply actions whenever you press a particular key on the keyboard or whenever you press a particular button on the mouse, like that. So event examples. So this is the event handlers. So what is event? So what is event and event handlers? How to use events, like that. So what is an event? Event, first of all, we explain about events and event models. What is event? Event is nothing but it is an action. It is an action to be taken. It is an action it is an action to be taken whenever a particular key on the keyboard is pressed, or whenever you press a key on the mouse, like that. Means event is automatically raised. Events are automatically raised whenever a key is pressed, or whenever a button is pressed on the mouse. So whenever you press, suppose if you press escape key, or if you double click on a mouse, if you simply double click on a mouse, then a particular action is to be taken. Or whenever you press a particular key, key on a keyboard, a particular action is to be, or a particular action or a particular task to be executed. So that type of programming is called as events and event handlers. Events and event handler and event programming. So that is also done by using JavaScript programs. So events usually occur due to user actions. So events are what are events? Events are generally occur or raised. They are called as raised. Events are automatically raised, or events are automatically used due to user actions. User actions means, what are user actions? Means whenever you press a key, enter key on the keyboard, or whenever you press a single key on a mouse, like that. For example, pressing the keyboard, changing a text field, moving the mouse over an element, etc. So an event is represented by an event object that is created upon the event occurrence. Every event has an associated target element. For example, the image over which the mouse clicks. So generally events are operated or works with objects, HTML objects. Next, Elements can have registered event listeners which are associated with certain types of events. When an event takes place, the listeners that are registered for this event are invoked. Typically, a listener is described by a scripting code, example JavaScript. This code is executed upon listener invocation. So, generally, how events are worked in HTML means generally events are raised by the users. Events are used and raised by the users whenever you press on a keyboard or whenever you press on a mouse, like that. So every event have its own code, and that code is generally written in JavaScript. And that code will be executed whenever a particular action or whenever a particular task or whenever a particular key is pressed. Examples are keyboard, mouse, like that. So these are the different types of, or these are the different examples for event types. So basically, before going to this slide, basically there are 3 to 5 events or event types are there. So what are there are many types of event types, or many types of events are generally we used in our programs. The first type is keyboard events. First type is called as keyboard event. Second type is called as mouse events. Third type is called as Windows events. Fourth type is called as like that. So what are keyboard events? Keyboard events generally occurs whenever you press on a particular key. There are many keys on the keyboard, as we know that. So these are the keyboard events, as in the C's in the lower bottom part. These are the keyboard event, like key down, key press, key up, like that. So key down means whenever you release a particular key. So what are the keyboard events? How many types of events are there? Keyboard event, mouse event, Windows event, like that. So keyboard events, what are the keyboard events? Key down. What are the keyboard events? So what are the keyboard events? Key down. Key down means when you press a particular key. When you press a particular key on a keyboard. Key press means press and release. Press and release a particular key. Key down. Key press means whenever you press a particular key. Key up means whenever you release a particular key, like that. Similarly, mouse events. Mouse events means, as we know that there are two types of buttons are there in mouse: left button, right button, and scroll bar button, and different operations are there by using mouse, as we select, drop down, and mouse over, select an object, double click, single click. All these are the events. So examples of mouse events are mouse up and mouse over. Mouse up means whenever you press on a particular object, whenever you press and hold on a particular object is called as mouse up. Mouse over means whenever you transfer or whenever you place a mouse pointer over a particular object is called as mouse over. So similarly, change blur, focus, all these are form events. So form events, so in the while entering and filling the form, there are number of options are there. Change means when you try to change contents of the text. Blur means whenever the focus means whenever you place the focus or whenever you select a particular object. So the type of events are called as form events. Reset, select and submit. See, reset, select and submit, these are also form events. So reset, whenever you press the reset button, automatically the reset event is raised. Select button, whenever you select a particular object, the select button is used. Submit button, whenever you submit some forms, submit event is used. So next is click, DBL, click, mouse down, mouse up, mouse move, mouse over, all these are called as mouse events. All these are called as mouse events. So as we know that the events are different types of events are used. Keyboard event, Windows event, keyboard event, mouse event, form event. So load, unload, about are Windows event. Windows event means whenever you open a window or in Windows operating system or anything, so you already observed that loading a window and unload, whenever you close a window it is unloaded. Abort means terminated a window forcefully. So all these three are called as Windows events. All these three are called as Windows events. Next, key down, key press and key up are keyboard events. Key down and key press and key up are called as keyboard events. Click, DBL, click, mouse down, mouse up, mouse move, mouse over, these are called as, all these are called as mouse events. So click means whenever you click on a particular click or a single click or select a particular object. DBL, click means double click on an object. Mouse down means release a mouse, and mouse move means whenever you move your mouse over an object. Mouse up means release a mouse or you press a mouse button, and mouse over means whenever you move on a particular object. Next, all these are called as mouse events. Next, reset, select and submit. Reset, select and submit, change, blur, focus, all these are called as form events. Why? Because on the form HTML forms we may use these buttons like reset, select, submit, change, blur and focus. So all these are called as events and event handlers, and these events are generally used with HTML programming, JavaScript, with HTML programming and JavaScript. So generally form events, form events are used at form validations. Form validation means data entry validations, form entries or form validation purposes. Form events are generally used. In the form element, on submit is equals to code defines a listener with a special functionality. When the form is supposed to be submitted, code is executed before submission. Next type of events are called as mouse click events or mouse events. Mouse events or mouse click events. So what are mouse events? Mouse events are used whenever we operate or whenever you do something and using mouse. So to register a listener for the click event, can use the on click attribute of the element, apply the style rule, and alternatively you can link to a JavaScript code. So event flows. So what is event flows? So when we click on the image, which of the functions should we be executed means. So we start with another PPT. So in this PPT, we may design start with some CSS examples. So DHTML generally contains 5 to 6 technologies. DHTML generally used or contains 5 to 6 technologies. One of the technology is CSS. One of the technology is CSS or style sheets. One of the technology is CSS technology, CSS or style sheets or cascading style sheets. So generally CSS means cascading style sheets, allows you to define the styles to apply to your document. Generally CSS or style sheets generally used to apply some design. Means unique design to all of your web pages. So generally it is a design, not content. Design means some settings like colors, fonts, font sizes, font names, changing fonts and changing font sizes, changing foreground and background colors, themes. Similarly, some applying some table of design patterns like that. Similarly, CSS is very powerful. CSS is much more powerful than HTML design tags. So CSS is very easy to use. Style sheets are very easy to use and very powerful while designing a web page. So this is a simple example, as we already discussed in the previous PPT or in the previous class. Style sheets are basically three types. First one is internal style sheets. Second one is external style sheets. Third one is inline style sheets. So first one is internal style sheets, second one is external style sheets, third one is inline style sheets. So this is the simple example of using style sheets or CSS code in a HTML program or HTML page. So style type is equals to within quotes text by CSS, body within brackets background dash color code hash cc semicolon. Next p bracket open border colon 1px solid black semicolon background color colon hash ff margin button colon 1em slash style. So by using style tag, so for example, if you want to include any style sheets or any styles or style sheets in a HTML program, you may simply use the style command or style tag. So what is the syntax of style tag? Style slash style, style slash style type is equals to style type is equals to within quote text by css, and body here you may use you may set some styles for body tag and paragraph tag. So body tag, so you are changing background color of the body tag, and new paragraph settings also. So this is the simple example of using how to use or how to insert a css style or a cascading style sheet styles code in a HTML page. Next, DOM also we already discussed with in the previous PPT. So what is DOM? DOM is nothing but it is a document object model, defines a hierarchical model of the document structure, through which all document elements may be accessed. So by using DOM only, document object only, we can access each and every element. We can get or access each and every element of a HTML page, and generally by using some nodes or some using various elements, we may code or write the document object and model programming. So common types are document nodes, element node, text node, attribute node, like that. So this is the structure. This is the structure of DOM example or a DOM structure. So in the document node, generally contain document node means it is some document, HTML document. It contains two parts: document type node and element node. Document type node and element node. Element node means HTML page. Again, HTML page contains headers and body sections. Again, header contains, as we know, that heading section contains some titles and and in the body section of HTML page, some paragraph page. Within the body section of a HTML page, we may get or access or use any of the HTML tags like paragraph tag and other tags of the HTML program. So JavaScript is another important part or a component of a DHTML. All these are the components or technologies used in DHTML. So JavaScript is another important feature of the DHTML. Generally, by using the JavaScript, we may write any background code. We may write the background code for the JavaScript application, DHTML code. So another important technology used in DHTML is JavaScript. So we may in detail discuss about JavaScript in the future classes. So what is JavaScript? JavaScript allows you to add conditional, client-side logic and behavior to your document. So JavaScript is another technology which is used in DHTML technologies. So what is a JavaScript? JavaScript is generally used in client-side scripts and client-side technologies. Allows you to add conditional, client-side logic and behavior to your document. And another point is JavaScript is not equivalent or not JavaScript and Java. JavaScript and Java are not same. Both are different. JavaScript is different and Java is different. Why? Because JavaScript uses in web technologies only, means website technologies or web technologies only, whereas Java is a language, commercial language. JavaScript is a scripting language only. Even though they have similar names, they are very different. And JavaScript is very popular. It is current versions are incredibly powerful, fully object oriented. JavaScript is also fully object oriented like Java. Conditional logic and DOM interaction. So this is the scripting, and JavaScript is used along with HTML. Means generally JavaScript is embedded, or JavaScript is inserted or embedded in between HTML code or HTML script. So this is the simple JavaScript language example program. This code is simply inserted in between HTML code. So we will discuss in the next class.